Welcome to Tammy Soul Speak, featuring animal intuitive and medium Tammy Hendricks, offering insight, spirituality, transformation, and clarity to every soul. Now, here's Tammy.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope wherever you are in whatever part of the world, it's a good day and you're finding treasures no matter what in your day. I'm always about being in the moment and finding things that are special, and they can be even the smallest of things. If I'm biking and I find an acorn that's different, or a white squirrel runs across, I'm always so grateful for all of the gifts that the universe offers. So with that said, it's a wonderful discussion we're going to have today, and it's all about what the animals and their soul paths are meaning for us and what they mean for the animals. So, I'm happy to, start that discussion, and let's dive deep today because it's going to be a really good show. I think it's going to be really helpful. Hi, Stacy. It's good to see you. Glad you're here. Um, as you come in to the room and as we gather together, I'd like to talk about, some of the important things that I think at the end of our lives we start to maybe consider. And also, if we have animals that pass or we have people in our lives who have passed, then, these kind of questions that I'm about to share arise. You know, did my life have meaning? And if so, what was it? And who are we in relation to that? Hi, Noelle. Great you're here. And Claudia. Oh, I'm so glad you're here too. It's like we all kind of walk into the room and we're having this big conversation, and it's wonderful to feel your energy on the show and feel your contribution, because I can always feel it as we evolve into the show. Our energies entrain together, and so we grow together. Um, Susie and Nigel. Oh, okay. Madeline, using my husband's YouTube. That's too cute. I'll remember that it's Madeline, not Nigel. Hey, Pamela, it's good to see you. Hey, Debbie Lynn, it's good to see you. Glad you're here. And Marianne Dalton, yay. I'm so excited that everybody's coming into the room. And I was just thinking, as we talk about this subject, I think I'd love, as we go through the show, for you to be, giving me your thoughts on things, because it's an amazing subject in general. And hi, Tammy. This is good timing, as my beloved dog passed 2 weeks ago today. Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. And I'm grateful you're here. I think this will be very helpful. Hey, Claire, it's good to see you. And Patricia, Susan, Scott, hello from Sydney, Australia. Oh, so lovely to find you. Oh, I'm so excited. I just get all over body chills when um, new people come on and people that have been here, and it's amazing because our community keeps emerging and growing. Hey, Deanna, all hanging in there with the changing energies. Isn't that the truth? That is the truth. If it's not Mercury retrograde or eclipses, it's crazy weather. It's just, yeah, we're all having to learn to keep our balance. But so, for today's topic, I have often, I guess because of my life, wondered these questions like, what is the meaning of life, and did my life have meaning? And I know, at the end of any life, that's a lot of times the questions that arise. And most times we're so busy in our lives living it that we don't ask those bigger questions until later. And so I feel that when those questions actually arise, it's a pretty lucky life indeed, because a lot of people go through their lives never asking that. They don't even that's not even on the entrance ramp to any questions. More big questions would be, did we matter? Were we loved? Did we love? And how well did we love? How much of our heart did we love with? Um, so when I'm discussing soul paths, I also have to bring in soul blueprints and soul contracts, because they all intermingle. And when a life has completed, it's usually easier to get a clear vision of what we came here to do. Um, However, we can also do this as we're going through life. We can all, start to zero in on seeing all the puzzle pieces, and the animals at the end of their lives, they look and see what was the meaning. They too look at what they accomplished on their soul blueprint and yours, because they have access to both. And two of the animal teachings that have been shared with me over and over again, and I think it's probably worth repeating many times, is number one, animals not only have their own purposes, but also their perceptions of any event. And I think that's important to take in because we don't often realize that they have their own viewpoint. Just like last week, if you were here and you heard the Sasha story, and when I was finally able to connect with her, she had her own viewpoint of what happened and her participation in it, and that helped me tremendously to hear her side. The other thing they've shared is they have free will, whether to agree with another's requests or to make their own choices. Those two are probably two of the biggest insights that they've shared with me, and again, shared over and over again. And, again, referring to Sasha, she definitely made her own choice. And I, in talking with clients in sessions, I often will, have somebody say, "Can't you just tell them to do something?" And I said, "Well, we can tell them all day long, but they have the free will to choose to do it or not, or listen." So that's something good to understand, that we have to uh, enlist their cooperation or their participation in anything we're asking them to do. So I think in general with the soul path, understanding, identifying them and understanding them can deepen your connection with your animal, with yourself. It can help you gain a broader understanding into your own life. And so I don't know if any of you saw the video I made of Molly. If you don't, it's on YouTube. It's a little short video, but it was kind of a preview to this show. And Molly was a yellow lab who came to me many years ago as a pup. And from the very get go of how she came to me through a photo to how she lived her life, she helped me understand a whole lot of things, including soul paths. And she would always also, like clue me into what the other soul paths were. So apparently I was in training and didn't realize that, we're always in our life living it. And she was busy training me, although at some point I did know, like I was the student and she was the teacher. There was no question. So I wanted to read a little bit about her. I have this on my blog post, but I'll read a little portion because I think it'll help you understand who Molly really was and is, because she still is trying to. I'll have to tell you that in a minute. She's getting me to write something else. She came in the other day, and I was like, "Is that you?" So she lived in a group of labs and goldens, and they were pretty like rambunctious groups. So as Molly grew, she made it her business to watch over certain aspects of our home and family. She was part of a lab retriever group I had at the time, a fairly rambunctious, ragtag, street smart group that had come from different backgrounds. Molly was crystal clear about who ran the show and simply stepped into the role of mothering them all. Each and every one of them listened to her. If Molly said it, it was so. It was amazing to watch as she soothed others just by her presence. The group was made up mainly of boys who into everything they could find, and they kept her quite busy. So it wasn't surprising one day when I heard barking downstairs, because they barked a lot. And in my world, barking is as natural as birds singing. So I was like, listening with one ear. But then I noticed the bark was different, and it was Molly using her emergency bark. So I ran down to see what was up, and she's standing in front, like I opened the door, and sort of frantic. And she was standing in front of me with a rather disgusted look on her face and an expression that said, "What took you so long?" And I was like, "Molly, what's wrong? Are you okay?" My voice was like frantic and high pitched. And without a word, Molly turned around and led me into another room where I found Tommy, an older golden retriever, with his head down, toward the wall, and his collar was caught on the faucet attached to the water heater. I'm not quite sure how he did that, but he was stuck there, so he was panting and frightened. And I reached to loosen his collar, and when I did, his head bobbed up, and he was so grateful. He was just like, "Thank you." And it's no telling how long he would have been there if Molly hadn't sounded the alarm. So I turned to thank Molly, but she was so busy checking out Tommy that she was like, unaware of me. And then once she was certain he would be all right, she literally turned on her heels, dismissing me at the same time, and headed for the water bowl because I'm pretty sure she got thirsty when she had to bark a lot, and her job was done. But that's the way it was with her. She knew everything that was going on, and I mean everything. She was a master teacher, I was a student, and yet we were equals working toward the same goals of balance, harmony, and loving kindness to all. So if we look at Molly, as we'll look at the soul pass, we can probably, if you would guess, hers definitely is mothering. She came in, she never had puppies, but she had plenty to do with us and the other dogs. And there were so many other experiences I had with her where she caught the boys doing something, and I'd go down there and the boys would be like way up the hill, like scattered, like who us, we like didn't do anything here, don't know what you're talking about. And she would show me they got into this or that. And of course none of them were going to rat out the others who it was. So she was literally such a help and support, and definitely a teacher. Toward the end of her life, we would sit at the top of the hill, and by then everybody had passed. She actually um, waited and saw all the animals out that transitioned before her, and it was only then that she felt her life was completed and she had done what she came here to do. And so some of the very last times we had, she would kind of give me not instructions, but teachings. Um, Let me see, I can pull real quickly and share what I shared on the. Uh, so I was like, some of the best moments I spent with her came toward the end of her life. Her back legs became weak, which made her stride wobbly and slow, but that didn't stop her from meandering outside, and we spent many hours just hanging out, talking and sharing memories. It was during those times that she reminded me of the important things in life. Number one, be present. 2, pay attention to details. 3, know who you really are and be authentic. 4, be aware of the whole, not just yourself. 5, practice loving kindness no matter what. 6, involve yourself in life. Don't just sit on the sidelines. 7, treat everyone like family. 8, don't waste your gifts by not using them. 9, use them for good every day. 10, do as much good as you can while you're here. She was an amazing teacher and amazing friend. And so, as we go through this discussion of soul paths, soul blueprints, I'm hoping that this is going to help you kind of dive into your own life and the life of your animal. And I'm grateful that, I've got some more people joining in. Let's see, my name is Christine. Lost my four-legged soulmate 8 months ago. I'm still having a hard time. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I understand that heart hurt quite well. And it's almost like we need to give ourselves a hug through that time and just cradle ourselves because it's a tough time to get through. I'm hoping maybe in this show it will help you. Um, and Patty, our yellow lab Cody, rescued a baby squirrel yesterday. He was so proud of himself. A hero. Patty, I saw that. I think that's wonderful. That's what a great treasure. I love that that's happening. So let me give you some details. My ear thing is trying to fall out. So soul blueprint. You're like, what is a soul blueprint, Tammy? Well, a soul blueprint is like a layout of your life from start to finish. It's like an overarching plan. And when I first talked with my mentor, Sharon Callahan in Mount Shasta, the very first call, she was like, "You're on your blueprint." And I remember going, wow, I've never thought of it like that. And so I learned quite a bit from her and then subsequently quite a bit from the animals. So it's a map of life that's kind of a universal puzzle, and the puzzle pieces fall into place as we complete each one. So what are the puzzle pieces, you ask, of the soul blueprint? Soul contracts and soul paths would be the puzzle pieces that come from that. So, so soul contracts, agreements made between souls prior to incarnating, animal or human, animal and human. It connects. Um, it's like a handshake, and there are unlimited soul contracts. So it gets really fascinating to discuss this. And I thought I'd read really quickly. It's the English teacher part in me coming out. Sorry. About Dr. Sue Morter, in her book, The Energy Codes, writes about, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with her, writes about the bus stop conversation. And I thought this is going to be a good example from her writing. So, bus stop conversation. Imagine yourself at a cosmic bus stop where you and others pause between trips to this physical plane. As you wait, you get to chatting with the others at the bus stop, talking about your plans and agendas for life on Earth. You speak about what you desire to learn, how you wish to grow, and what you'd like your experience as a means of revealing to yourself your own true divine nature as being of energy and creator of your own life. So one of them says, I want to learn about my wisdom. Then another says, I'm going to declare and learn courage. I want to experience being unconditionally loving, says a third. What are you going to do? Someone asks you. Well, you might say, I'm going to have a bunch of experiences of waking myself up. I want to know my ability to forgive. Yep, I'm going to choose a level 10 experience of forgiveness, not just a level 3 or 4. I'm really going for it this time. There's an audible gasp. A level 10 forgiveness? Wow, how are you going to do that? Another soul asks. Well, I'm not sure. I suppose someone's going to have to do something that is, well, really unforgivable. One of your companions asks the obvious question, well, what would that take? Your reply, well, someone would have to do something like drink too much at happy hour, get behind the wheel, cross the center line on the road, and hit my car head on. To take it over the top, they might take the lives of my family or cripple me. It could have been avoided and would have been completely irresponsible. Then, after many years of hurt and anger and suffering, even more because of my unforgiveness, I will reach way down inside my heart and find a deeper layer of myself than I would have ever known under any other set of circumstances and forgive them. You pause for a moment, remembering that the bus stop offers an opportunity to enlist others to help you achieve what you want out of your earth life. I think when I went over last show with Sasha, that really, that actually could be a part two show too, because um, there was a degree of blame, or on gosh, there was it involved me, it involved Megan the other dog, it involved a definite level of forgiveness that had to come in. So the people that we have relationships with, the animals, it could be a friend, someone who's challenged you, it could be a child, an animal. The thing is, in our soul contracts and just overarching, we are all always being given the opportunity for growth in every single experience. And the animals are masters at helping us with this, as well as they are going through their own soul path learning and soul contracts. So if you have the soul blueprint and you have the soul contracts between individuals, then you ask, what's the soul path? So soul paths unfold within and over a lifetime, individual themes, lessons, patterns we're working on. And it's really fascinating because Molly helped me see her many ones, because guess what? We can have multiple soul paths. It's not just one. We think it might be, oh, I came here to learn. We came here to learn many, many. And once you complete one soul path, then the next one rolls in. And maybe they're going on concurrently. So it's just fascinating and it's helpful because it allows us to look into a life rather than say at a life. Um, so here's the secret too. There are infinite numbers and combinations of soul paths. They are continually opening up, merging with others, and creating new combinations all the time. As we evolve, our soul paths evolve. And when I think about that, once we go in and I show you the different soul paths and we talk about that, then we're going to see that they may be like archetypes that you would have learned, but as we've evolved and we're in this particular state of our lives, the year we're in, then the soul paths actually merge and create new ones so that we can continue to that growth. So it's pretty fascinating. Um, so, question: what soul path themes have you noticed or encountered? If you put them in the comments, I'd love to see it. Even whether it's your own soul path and you've noticed, oh, I seem to be here as a teacher, or oh, I think my animal might be a healer. What are there any? I mean, I would just be curious to know if there are any kinds of soul path themes that you all have noticed, because it's there's not just one, like, I'm going to give you a list, but it's not by any means the one and only, and that's all we have kind of list. Um, So I'll wait a minute to see any of you have picked any of that up before I go on. Like I said with Molly, I think she was mothering, she was teacher. Um, she definitely came here to be a partner and be an equal. So all of those things she was actually learning at the same time, and in each experience she went through. Um, so Renee, if you wouldn't mind putting up, like, I have a screenshot of 10 soul paths. Like I said, there are many, many others. So, oh, hang on, while y'all were reading this, let me see your comments here. Standing in my truth. Grace, hey, Janet, teacher, healer. Yes, love. I would totally agree. Um, and communicator, I would say. And there are so many as I'm thinking about them. I have 10 listed, but we've got more to go on. Susie Everett, I'm trying to figure out why a person was put in my path. That's probably maybe maybe when we go through this exercise, Susie, maybe that'll help us, like, help you determine that a little bit better. Um, Susan Scott, my animal companion Sullivan has been my anchor and staying connected to the world. So, Susan, would you say part of his soul path is being a grounder? I mean, I've been told by animals they are kinders too, those that come into just to show kindness. I mean, they have all kinds of names. Would you say he has a soul path of grounding or being a grounder? Patty, soul path of love, joy, and sacredness. Um, yes, those are definitely, yes, that's one of the ones I have listed is the joy. Um, and let's see, Claire, I was lucky to do a 7-week course of pre-birth planning with author Rob Schwartz. That's fascinating. I got the chance to learn some of my divine virtues, which are faith, unconditional love. Um, wow. So, you know, even though we we go through our lives, we're all talking, like, when I'm conversing with you on that, you all are like, oh yeah, it's friendship. I'm seeing somebody, friendship and trust. Oh, 100%. And don't we all, like, when we pull the list back up, it's going to be like, yeah, I think I'm experienced that too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I need to learn about this too. So a lot of times we'll mirror what the animal is learning at the same time. We go through the same soul paths, which is I don't know. It's just, to me, it's very wonderful to have that kind of partnership when and help to each other. Um, Friendship again, protection, yes, um, absolutely. It's hard to tell right now as ours is a puppy, so I think he's still learning who he wants to be. Is definitely a joker, so maybe joy. They come in, Noelle, as joy guides. Absolutely, I have little dogs at the house that that's their whole. One of their main purposes as a theme, as a group, to be joy guides, and they all work together. It's fascinating. So, Renee, if you would put that 10 soul paths up again, I'll go through it. So, I just pulled some of the most common. Like I said, it's 10 plus, plus, plus. And my thinking is, I'm going to probably do a two part, like, next show will be a part two, because I already have another dog that has come in that wanted, and it was a puppy, wants to share part of the soul path, and so anyway, that's just a spoiler alert. But so the soul path of mothering, the soul path of friendship, joy guides, number 3, the soul path of protection and protecting, soul path of healing, the soul path of vulnerability, soul path of trust, soul path of forgiveness, soul path of independence, soul path of master teacher. And we've already, touched on some other things like partnership. There's a soul path of compassion. So there are, like I said, there are more than we can list, but as we start to learn about these things, and Molly would be like, almost like, take this down. I've got information coming. And so I would just follow that and write it down. Healing unconditional love, Nigel, that I've learned from my dogs, learning how to live with loss as I lost my eldest daughter 2 years ago. That is absolutely a tough one. I'm so sorry. And then I got my dog as my daughter and I plan to get one each. Let me see if I'm running. You'll have to, yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Then I got my dog as my daughter and I plan to get one each. Wow. Animals come in. I've always said this. You'll hear me say it a lot. Animals come in on cue and they leave on cue as well, and it's hard to understand that. I think we get focused on the event, and the animals have always told me, don't just focus on that last piece, that last event. Go back and look to see, well, what was in the middle between when I came and when I had, I changed form. So, I'd love to, Nigel, if you want to share any more about like some of the traits that you've noticed in them, the unconditional love, the healer part of them, because I have a sense that that was definitely, they were sent in, on the wings of angels, so to speak. So if you take those 10 soul paths, let's go through. You'll have to bear with me. Um, how to identify your animal soul paths. So I have an exercise, and while, Renee gets it up here so we can all see it, this came to me to be able to share with you, and Aunt Molly was like right on it with me, and Sasha was right there on it with me to help you understand maybe and do this in your own life. I think a very simple way, and oh, that's right. Yep, Madeline, sorry. Um that's why we have to step back and see, just observe. I think that's the best method. And I think from what you said, all these like friendship and joy and whatnot, you were able to determine that from the observation of your animal, from the interaction of your animal. So um, you're probably going to need a pen and paper, and I think maybe that would help. And so I think just rule of thumb with me in any show is probably good to bring that, and probably some Kleenexes as well. We'll talk about that toward the end. I've been told that people are at work and they're listening and they're like, we can't cry at work. Like, sorry, it's the animals. So for identifying your animal soul path or yours, take 10 personality traits that you've noticed in your pets. You list that. Um, Personality would be maybe they're independent, they're friendly, um, they are very communicative. So that, you would take that as a personality trait. And then once you get that, you list the 10 values you perceive your pet might have. Now, let me explain what that is. Um, Molly valued um, authenticity and clear communication. She valued being on time too. She just like interjected that. Um, she valued family. So values aren't they value food, water, and sleep too, but that's not what I'm asking here. So if you put that down on the list when you're doing this, yeah, steer away from those and go for more of the true values, like what you would perceive they would have. And then step 3 would be you pick 5 personality traits that stood out the most from list 1. And then you pick 5 values that stood out the most from list 2 and put them like when you're doing this, I'm not necessarily saying you have to do it right this second, but when you're doing it, make 2 columns and just put personality traits, values, and then list them. Next thing I want you to do, which is where the interesting patterns emerge, the interesting energy comes forward, is to draw a line between the words that you see have linking themes, between your personality and the values, because you're going to find they do link. And I'm wondering if any of you are doing it now. And again, this is a quick kind of like, here's an exercise, and it may take you a little bit of time. What soul path themes would emerge from that? Um, the animals felt like this was going to help like break it down for you in a way that you could also do this for your family members if you're thinking about it. It's almost like uh, the numerology of, where you look at the numbers and you say, oh, this means this is how we're deducing, this is how we're getting from the words, the connecting, the connection. So I can put these back up later, but what I want to do is go to um, I did one, and Sasha helped me do this. What Sasha from the last show, what Sasha's soul path was, and if you weren't here for the last show, while Renee puts that up, um, then Sasha was a very very unique. Not that they aren't all unique; they are very individual dog, and she came to me and it was an intense relationship that we have. Um, had together and still have actually. Renee, if you'd put that schematic up, that would be helpful. Thanks. So when I did this, and I put Sasha's soul path, I put personality, I put the values, and then I put soul path underneath. Yes, thank you. So bear with me with my little lines. So personality, she was independent, she was guarded, she was very deliberate. She was mysterious on purpose, she told me later. She was judgmental, and a lot of times we don't think of animals being judgmental, but animals have opinions, and she definitely had her, you know, almost like a hierarchical kind of feel to her. And so then I thought, okay, well, what did Sasha value? Sasha valued distance. Okay. She valued her status as a queen. Absolutely. There was a hierarchy, and she put herself um, kind of elevated to everybody else. There was a separateness, it was a deliberate separateness. Um, being separate from everybody, but she was also, if we look at number 1 with distance, she was also distanced from her heart, distanced from others, distanced from me even. And number 5, she valued being authentic. So Sasha didn't apologize for anything she chose. That's just, it being authentic to her own self. So if we take the personality and values and we link those together first. So when I looked at it, I looked at independent and then I looked at the values and I'm like, what does independent go with? Well, it goes with she chose to be distant. She wanted her choice. That's an independent kind of quality. And she wanted to be authentic. So that was part of her independent personality, but it came across in what she valued. So guarded would go to, she had kind of a guarded feel to her. That distance again goes to her. And then the separateness goes to guarded. So it created both of those values. And deliberate, you know, choice definitely deliberate and being authentic, I think are linked. And then when I looked at mysterious, yes, the status of a queen, she was mysterious and aloof, kind of, and this almost like this regal, I'm on a platform kind of feel. And then the judgmental part also went to the status as a queen, I think, because she felt like she had the ability and maybe even the right to, you know, handle everybody there and tell them when they were wrong and things like that. So if you got that so far, and you know, the soul path is when I came to it and I thought about it, especially toward the end. And again, if you haven't seen that show, you know, I think it would be a good, helpful show for this discussion. To, you know, if you get a chance to watch that about Sasha and do animals forgive? So she struggled with vulnerability in her life. She had a heart wall, so she had difficulty with that, and she not until the very end actually did that vulnerability come out. She definitely had trust issues. Um, she had a forgiveness piece with a lot of different things with, you know, human beings in general. And then that, you know, her soul path was independence too. She came here to learn what that really was. And so if you see the lines, they actually go to both. So vulnerability would go to guarded and mysterious, and um, the, you know, vulnerability on the other side goes to separateness. Trust, trust going to um, status as a queen, separateness, and these are subjective. So as you do this yourself, um, you know, there's not one hard fast interpretation here. So and trust on the other side would go to guarded. And then forgiveness, and those green lines would go to she had to make a choice to forgive. Um, and forgiveness also went to that judgmental part of her. And then the independence of her, thou she learned came here to learn those traits. Um, you know, went to the personality of being independent, but also to distance and kind of holding herself as a queen, you know, and to separateness. And so question, did she actually um, learn that and be able to get that by the end of her life? I think so. You know, her path involved learning how to trust others. It was a lifelong challenge with humans or animals. She had survived being independent, so she only trusted herself. But in the end, she learned to surrender and trust the process of life, because life, between diabetes and then what happened at the end, led to her sweet forgiveness and heart opening, one that could literally be felt as she left her body. So, you know, I don't know for you guys if this would be, I was thinking, and actually the animals were thinking this would be super helpful for you to understand, you know, a little bit more detailed and more deeply what that really looks like, and what is my soul path and what does that mean and what is my animal soul path. So I'd love to, if you have any thoughts on that while we're, you know, getting ready to go into questions, I'd love to hear your take on any of that and your take on the different soul paths. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there'll be a part two of this, because, you know, then that begs the question of diving in a little bit deeper to see what the soul paths mean, you know, in our own lives, and how does that help us actually? How does that help us to know what our soul contracts are and what our soul paths are, and how do they relate to our overall blueprint? Um, so as I'll start on questions, as you all, if you want to chime in on the comments, that's great. I'll go back and forth. Um, and I'll do, you know, as many questions as I can get to. There were a few that came in a little bit before the show, so those would be probably transferred to the next show. I'll do my best to get to as many. Hey, Martine, Troy loved adventure and life dearly. That's a great one, the soul path of adventure. Absolutely, we need to put it on the list. This list is going to keep evolving. I have a feeling. And Troy was authentic, joyful, and vulnerable. Um, Question. So with Molly and Sasha, would you say Sasha didn't come in to be a mother? Would you say, and how do you know that? I mean, how would we know? Would it be by the things that, you know, the personality traits and the value? Because I mean, would you say Molly had a different kind of energy? That's another way we can tell is what's the energy of the animal? How do they feel? You know, what do they spend their time doing? Because they're all learning their own path as well. And that's what's fascinating because it all intertwines with us. Because if they're needing to learn about vulnerability, trust, forgiveness, independence, um, then it probably begs the question to look at ourselves and like, I probably need to work on that trust piece as well. Because whatever they're going through is mirroring our own lives. Um, Patty Weeks, Shadow was an old soul. She taught patience and acceptance. Interesting. And I wonder, often like Patty, how would she teach that? Did she exemplify that, or did she cause you to have to be patient because of something she was doing or not doing? Um, Yeah, Debbie Lynn, if you Patty, if you add into that, let me know what the difference was on that, because that's an interesting. How do we get taught? Molly was pretty direct, like, "Ugh, you're missing this, and you didn't get this, and it's about time, kind of feel. But a lot of times, animals can teach patience by the opposite of what they're doing. We're having to learn patience. Okay, she exemplified it. Okay, okay. So you could look at her and learn what patience was. Okay, that makes sense. Debbie Lynn, I'm thinking maybe do both soul paths work on my dogs and me so I can see what our paths are? Like trust for me too. Right there with you. I've got it. It's an interesting thing when we look at this. And yes, you can do it. You can do it on you on both of you. That's the beauty of it. And it's ongoing. And like I said, the they're concurrent. It's not like we get one thing done and then another, although that could happen that way. Most times though, we're working on a lot of things at once and we're working on different soul paths so that at the end of our lives we're like, okay, after that bus stop conversation, did we accomplish learning forgiveness? And I know for me and Sasha, she was the greatest teacher in that, uh, because of what I did afterwards of going into my own self blame and my own unforgiveness. So that I had to work through those pieces. So she was the greatest teacher for that. I'll be forever grateful. Um, and I wouldn't change how her life evolved. And I think she would be the first to tell me that she would choose it again. Absolutely. She didn't apologize. It's like sorry, not sorry. She wouldn't apologize for who she was, which I really, I mean, I admire that in her. So Laurie, my three doxies, oh, you got such cute doxies, actually. I truly believe they're here to help us through a tough journey of dementia. They helped us to deal with the stress of the journey. And whenever I have felt and seen pictures of your doxies, I've always felt like there's this unified teamwork that they're doing. Um, and so absolutely healers, they're very like they have a lot of they work together. They like tag team. So they're an amazing little soul group there, a little angel soul group. So I love that. I love that you have such healers in your life. Let's see, Susie, my marshmallow and I came together, I think, because we both experienced a lot of abandonment. Yes, that's another one, the soul path of being loved, maybe even. And abandonment would certainly fall into that. The path is maybe we've not experienced that as much. Yes, Stacy, I got that. I think I'm going to do with yours because it came in kind of late is I'm going to attempt to do that next time. Uh, it was yes because I like to put the photos up and I'd like to have everybody share. But yes, I'm on it. I noticed it. I definitely did. And Madeline, I love you. You're giving me cues. Thank you. Um, do you believe in reincarnation? If so, how would you know? And if so, how would you know? What if your dog has been there before? I think my dog picked me as I picked up the four litter mates. He licked me a lot. You know, you are like that's definitely a show. That's in the works that the animals have started lining up shows, and so yes, I'm definitely going to do one on reincarnation, and that's going to be a really interesting show because I bet you guys have, like you, a lot of experience with that. So I can go over more of like, how do we know? And are we, is this just crazy talk or whatever? So yes, that's the to be continued for sure. Um, so yes, if we could go to questions that I have prepared, I'm happy to answer and I'm happy to continue on the comments because I love the interaction that we're creating here and you know, the information we're all learning. So Renee, if you could go to the questions and comments that have come in, the photos. I always like to share these so that you can go along with me and see the animals with me. And I also like for you to practice, if you would, just you're on your own, the is looking at a photo of an animal and seeing, what you pick up, because that's practicing in real time and it gives you observational strategies and listening strategies. So while we're waiting for those questions and comments to come up, I'll start and read what I have here. um, I'd love to know what Shoto's soul path is. I know he is an old soul. Is he here to help me with my healing sessions? He's definitely an old soul. He's wise beyond his years. He's always around when I do my healing work. I feel like we are in one soul. I waited almost a year and a half from him after my other GSD passed away. Shoto's is gorgeous, yeah, gorgeous German Shepherd. And what I feel from him is he's definitely a healer. He says he embodies. There's a photo here that I don't have up, but he's in front of a statue, and I believe that's Saint Francis because he says he came here as an embodiment of that. So he's here to help guide souls and to help you as well, like be your assistant. He's very much your equal. And yes, he carries a wisdom to him that is beyond his years. She's got a photo of him laying in the door of where she does healing. He holds an overarching energy with everything that she does. There you go. That's Shoto. Isn't he gorgeous? He he says he's not vain about it too, by the way. He says he knows he's extraordinarily handsome and he knows that he's striking, he says, but he takes that all in stride. He says that's not what's the most important thing. He says what's on the inside is the most important thing. Who you are, he says. I just love him. I'm getting all over body chills on that. So Dawn, thank you for sharing that. I hope this helps. And his soul path would be, you know, a guardian soul, a he's obviously a guide. Um, he is a soul path of healer. Um, he says he's also a soul path of grounding. He also says he wants you to sit with this exercise we did today and see what other soul paths emerge because he has some more things he'd like to share with you. So yeah, you'll have to get that's a cliffhanger. You'll have to keep me, let us know, like give us the deets later of what you find out. So hopefully that helps. And then I've got another one here. After the passing of my Maltese Fluffy 2 months ago, I was somehow guided to this little chap Pico. I'm just too adorable, please. There should be a law against such cuteness. She's just precious. He appeared in an ad and he lived quite far away, mentioned him to my brother-in-law, and I was half thinking he would say, he's not for you. I then went to view little Pico, and when I asked his date of birth, the lady told me it was my birthday. So driving back, the GPS rerouted us on a completely different route. On this particular way home, the name of a pub jumped out at me, the Dog. The reason why yet to be discovered. This is why I would kindly ask what his soul path may be, please. He's deliberately, well, first of all, he came in very deliberately, and secondly, he says um, he's saying he's magic. He's got like little magical talents that are yet to be discovered and that yet for you to see. He's definitely a joy guide. And he says part of that is just the way he looks. He comes in as just the minute anybody sees him, their hearts melt. So part of his soul path too is heart opening, absolutely. And just by his very presence, he's a heart opener. He's showing. It's funny when they do this. He's showing me like a letter opener that you take something and open. He says he's a heart opener, and he said that's one of his specialties. He says he's got other specialties that will be emerging as he is with you and as he evolves. And he said as you evolve. So this is like again, it's a stay tuned to see what is up. So this is a continued, definitely a continued conversation. So hopefully that helps. There's a lot of different soul paths in there, and I think this is just the we're cracking the tip of the iceberg with it. Because after this discussion, I'm going to bet you start maybe thinking of it more, and you're like, wait a minute, they're like this, and I'm learning that. So that's the kind of like creative understandings that I love to have happen because I know I've enjoyed it in my life. And so let's see what the oh. I believe Michi's soul path is Rebecca. I believe Michi's soul path is a healer. I had a recent trauma and he didn't leave my side. When I needed to ground myself, he laid on my feet to remind me. He was also laying against me every morning while I had my tea. I believe he is my soulmate. I would love your thoughts, Tammy. I so appreciate all your shows and insights. Thank you. I appreciate all of each and every one of you for joining in because I learn from you as well, and the animals are bringing this forward. So he says he's a grounder, so he is a soul path of grounding. He said that I don't know when he was born. He said he would be like an earth. He's saying I'm an earth dog, an earth energy. I'm wondering with some of the earth astrological signs if he's not one of those. Uh, he says he came to be in service to humans. And this is a role he's had many other times. And he says he keeps, what word would he use? Like embracing and enhancing. He's using the word enhancing, like polishing, like adding to. Um, his life and yours. He's very, very pleased you noticed this. He's also a healer, like you thought. Soul Path is a healer. He's very appreciative that you noticed this and that you were able to receive the vibration and the transmission. He's also gifted in that way, and he's very, very pleased that you noticed that. So, very, very interesting dog and soul, as all of yours are. And, again, they all come to us. It's no coincidence how they come to us. Um, let's see. I rescued Bailey 7 years ago. The fear and distrust she had for others I'd never experienced. I had to relearn to be an owner to a dog that was so distrustful. This journey has been long, but not without huge challenges or changes and rewards. Um, I always wondered what brought her to this state, and thankful I was the one chosen to show her it was okay. Would love to know more about our journey together, Susie. Um, Susie, all animals, well, they all come specifically to us, but you have a keen insight into the inner needs, I think, of animals, and they communicate that. Um, and she's telling me that the journey you've had together have helped you in doing some other things that you're doing in your life right now. So almost like it was training ground for both of you. She needed to learn how to trust. She said she's been working on that for several lifetimes, but especially in this one. Um, and she said you are a great example of that. And so she's extremely appreciative. And she also says that you have had, she's using like unlimited patience with her as she takes steps. And she's also paralleling the steps she's taking with the steps you're taking as you communicate more with animals of all kinds. She's there helping. She says she's like a little antenna and tuning fork to help you. So there's this vibration that she carries, and she says she wonders if you notice that vibration. She said it's like a hum. So maybe you can sit with her and just feel that connectedness with her and see if you can pick up. She says it's a definite, she says it's a frequency kind of hum. And I'm not really had an animal like tell me it in this way. So yes, definitely she's got some um, abilities that have come out because she has been in your life, and because she's learning to trust and learning to forgive. And she said you have been an exemplary teacher, so she's very, very grateful. Beautiful little girl. Hi, Tammy. I would love any insight you have about Snacks' soul path, as well as our new little guy, Tandy. Um, Snacks actually is quite a character, and he came into, oh my gosh, he's just telling me, I came in to brighten faces. He said, people need to smile more. He says, I smile, and they notice I smile. So in a way, he's like a joy guide. Um, and also, learning what he says he came in. So this would be another soul path, learning the soul path of family, learning how to be in a family and what that really means, um, and learning what it is to be a sibling, especially to Tandy. So you've got the family, the soul path family element. You've got and he's also throwing in the friendship part. Um, and he's saying new beginnings, like, um, what word was that? It's like restarting, like a soul path of starting over again, or restarting with each other, doing things a new way. Uh, Family members that are so different, but they're still a unit. So that family piece, that soul path of family, is super important with him. And then Tandy comes in as, she says she's a guide. She says she is she's quite um, she says she's very independent, but she can be very loving too. But she loves that soul. She's learning about independence and how it is to be on her own and be who she is. She says people in the past have looked over her, but she is coming into her own in this lifetime of being a bright presence. So, as you can see, when the animals start describing themselves, they will use words like bright presence and, I bring smiles. So, that could also go in the category of soul paths to, and if you want to, if we go in headings and stuff, healers also do that too. And so, like Deanna said, it's a team healing. I totally agree. They too they she said they came together to it's like they're tag teaming with you all. So if you get a chance to update us about all of that, I'd love to hear your comments. And maybe after you watch the replay, you can ask that, or tell us, like, give us the details. um and I don't know, that may be, oh, okay, good. I thought I had one more. I just registered, let's see, and would love to add a picture of my dog, Bo. Love to know more about how his soul path. He's 20 months old, tough start on his journey with me. He almost died at 8.5 months, and this year has been 2 seizures. Only want the best for my pup. He's extraordinarily wise, so he comes in with a soul path of wisdom. And part of that wisdom is through helping you in your journey of he's like, it's a teaching, like all his body issues are a teaching for both of you to be grounded and not to get rattled. And he's definitely a healer, but he's doing that especially through his body issues. um and as as his, like, he's had seizures, there's an element like of a groundedness that he's, and if you think about it, seizures would be the opposite of that, of the grounding. But he's showing you how to ground. He says how to ground and stay, you know, on earth. All pause on earth. He's saying. Um, so his soul path definitely is a healing soul path, literally, and even beyond that. And his soul path also. Oh, he's throwing in friendship as well. He's like. The friendship that you have with him is unlike any you've ever had with another, he says. So again, coming straight from him, you're both learning that this friendship piece, uh, almost like there's a new element of the friendship, that, like, the word friendship is now mm, becoming even more deep and more interesting, that you're each learning different aspects of friendship. um, Yes, no, there's a definite soul tie there, and soul. soul journey piece. So he's there to help, almost like he's showing me he's leaning against you. So he's also a healer in that way, kind of like Michi is for Rebecca. Um, and he knows you want the best for him. And he says he also communicates what he needs. So again, soul path, a communicator as well. Let me see if I can really quickly catch because we're about running out of time. Um, let's see, Lori. Uh, Lost my son 5 years ago. That night when I thought I couldn't bear the extreme emotions, um, my chubby little English climbed all the way up to the back of the huge leather couch I was on. Oh my goodness. Um, that's, he's got a, yeah, total healer. And what he does, he says he dissipates the emotions, because losing, your son, it's something that it's almost one of those unbearable experiences in life. And for him to come in the ways he said, he helped hold you up. And oh, he's also saying that you can lean on him like you lean on a couch. So I don't know if you literally lean on him, but he says you certainly can. That's really very, very poignant. Well, guys, we are out of time, but if you will kind of bear with me, I'd love to do a part two where we can go into like the soul path of special needs. Lots of different soul paths and the master teachers, the things that they're here. And in between now and then, um, you know, maybe you can think further on it. And when we come back and join each other again, we can share what has come through and what has arisen with the animals. Renee, if you would put up that last, I want to share something for the future show, and to tell you. So, yes, next show supplies. Here's what I would recommend. I'd always bring a pen because I apparently the animals are going to always give me something to help and for you to take home with you and you to use, and then paper. And like I said, I've been told that they need. It's like I think I'll start putting an alert up for is it a one hanky show or a two hanky show, or if it's a five hanky show, you probably need to bring the whole Kleenex box or the whole pack of hankies. So I really appreciate everybody that's been here today. It's been very helpful to just chat, and grateful you took your time. The animals are overjoyed. There's always a lot of energy, and let's keep that energy going. Let's keep the conversation going so that we can keep the awareness that's expanding in us and throughout the world. Thank you so much. And I will see you June 8th, and it will probably be a part two. In the meantime, let me hear from you. I'm always happy to hear what's going on in your world. Have a good week.
You've been enjoying Tammy's Soul Speak featuring animal intuitive and medium Tammy Hendricks.